Stop over calculating in your games. Like sometimes the game is like super simple and persons are going like super in depth in some variations which never work. Stop doing that. I am a feeder master and this is what worked for me. So stay tuned and we're getting right into this video. Alright, the first thing that you guys need to understand with tactics is to really come to the realization that you're not Magnus Carlsen. You will not find everything. Your default settings for your chess games has to be improving your pieces. Once it's the middle game, if you don't see a tactic, it's like, alright, I'm going to start improving. Maybe I start throwing like my knight into the game. Anything, swing like your rooks. That's your default. If you can't find like certain moves in time, depending on the time control that you're using, that's default. Now, the second thing that you guys need to understand is, like when you have the time, stop playing automatic moves. This is what stops most persons from improving. So here, an automatic move is to like capture back on c4, which for calculation, if you see a good move, look for a better one. All right. And as you see, my games, I mostly look in this area of the board. I am trying my best to spot moves, attacking ideas, which could blow my opponents off the board. And now we see bishop to c5. So again, it's just putting a threat on the queen and is currently securing that rook. How do we find this? Remember, it's not like bishop to c5 will come to most persons naturally. Some it will, some it won't. For the guys who are not seeing these moves naturally, remember, your normal moves right now would be like bishop takes c4, rook to e1. Those simple calm stuffs, knight to e5. If you can force yourself to play longer time formats to work on this, that would be perfect. Where you're like, all right, I want to play this move, but is there better? And you start off by looking for moves in your opponent's area of the board, which are super aggressive. And somehow you will find moves like this. So, all right. Yeah, I mean, like, he tried this in the game and just like died. But as you can see, this is absolutely finished. But just to get things like kicking. Yes, if he moved this queen anywhere, that rook would have been gone and I would have been up a whole exchange. So let's get into our next example of what you guys need to start implementing to start seeing things more clearly. In our second example, this is what most persons tend to do. They are looking at one variation for like half of the game and it doesn't work. If you don't see a move, like you're not seeing the way to crash through, simply get more pieces involved, guys. Like if you're playing like rook to d2 and you're like, hey, I'm gonna try to checkmate this guy on d1, and you're just not seeing exactly how is it working. You're like, all right, he does this, I give a check, bishop back to b1, and then you're trying some magical way to find checkmate in this scenario, and you're like, why doesn't it work? And then you go back and you're like, all right, rook to d2, bishop to b1, and you check that like 5 times. For some reasons I would never understand. No, what you need to do instead, if you're checking a variation and it's not like showing itself, like you're not seeing exactly how is it crashing through, simply improve a piece. Have to find the time balance, guys. So here we have currently 2 pieces involved in the attack. How can we bring the third piece? Bishop to a3. All right. Now by us like adding a third player to the game, right? The same moves will tend to work. Now, what you're going to realize is that teamwork makes the dream work, guys. So when you have 3 pieces or more, all you do is look for like target points, weaknesses in your opponent's area to target. Remember, like for chess, the basics, the fundamentals, making moves in your opponent's half of the board, that is going to bring you a far way in chess, which is why you need to master it. Now, in this game, simple stuff's happened. What would you play for this position? Now, rook to d2 is dealt with because of the knight. And you have 3 pieces now. This is the benefit of having like a combination of pieces when attacking. They can start team working. The bishop is now defending the rook. This knight now has a chance to get in the game, guys. Knight to c3. And you're seeing it right now. Like, that is indeed checkmate. Do you see how simple this is? Do you see how simple this is, guys? Like, look. Boom. Knight c3. The game was done. My opponent resigned. That is how simple this can get if you apply this the right way. Alright, now this is our third example of what you guys need to know to start thinking more clearly. So here, it's going to come down to your pattern recognition as well, which is why persons would advise you to do your tactics. Now, don't just be doing any tactic. Like, it could just be a certain case where you're falling short in a certain tactic. So remember the basics and then improve on it. Believe it or not, this right here is actually a pin tactic. And by utilizing your pattern recognition, you can play for positions like those. All right. So here, my queen is protecting this knight. Now, Black wants to play this move, rook to c8, and trap my knight. I'm even showing a game that I have lost. This game, I was completely cooked, but still understand the thought process behind it. Queen to b5, and now we want to play rook to c8, but I'm going to simply move my knight away. How can you utilize the pin tactic? Like, my queen is here. He simply played pawn to a6. Now my queen is running low on squares. All right. And by me putting my queen on b6, rook to c8 won the knight. I'm unable to move the knight now because of the fact that my queen is pinned. So remember, pattern recognition. This is super important when it comes on to tactics. Queen to b6, and that was it. All right, so if you guys have been following so far, this is again a more complex example. So here my opponent just played rook to h8. And persons here, if you're materialistic in chess, that's a big no-no. What you need to do is to really lock in. Whenever you have a very exposed king, and you have enough pieces involved in the attack, like there is no way to improve anything any further, that is normally the green light that, oops, there is a tactic here. Like, it's like, wake up, do something. And you're forcing moves. I hope you have been following the video, guys. This is like your test. What is a forcing move in opponent's side of the board that you can play, especially starting off with your checks? Now, depending on how many moves you can see ahead, this might be a challenge, but rook to f6 check, and it's a forcing move. If this is captured, pawn takes f6, and where does this king go? If it goes here, then that is queen to g4. And remember, you want to see this ahead of time before you play. Let's do a test. You are white in this scenario. What is the default thought process? You're like, I don't know what to do in this scenario. If you are like, I can improve a piece, do something normal, right? Fine. That's your default. Your default is like, all right, if I don't see a tactic, improve a piece. Let's say you go rook to d1. Let's say you just look for like a casual check, like your natural moves. Those are fine. If you want to start to think more clearly, don't just look at one line like you're like queen check, king moves over, where's the knockout, queen check, no. You look at the position and you're like, all right, Raheem said 4 sig moves. What are all my checks? Alright. Knight takes e7 is a check. And we check all of this 3 moves deep. Again, just find like your baseline. Knight takes, rook takes. Does this work? No. King to h8. I'm not seeing anything. Alright. That check doesn't work. Knight. Oh, I have another check. Oh, wait. I have queen check. That doesn't work. Knight check. What if he just takes the knight? Then it's checkmate. That's a 2-move tactic. Alright, what if he steps here? Checkmate again. That's a 2-move tactic. Alright. Knight check. What if he takes the bishop? I take back. And I don't see how black stops checkmate. That is exactly how you arrive at the conclusion. Opponent died, guys. Look for your forcing moves. You realize that I'm not going like 15 moves deep into the future. I just want to see what's in front of me right now. At least 3 moves. Don't think in 1 move. Some moves ahead. Get it right, guys. Let's go. Now, this is the final example of what you guys need to implement. Remember to like, share, and subscribe for more videos like this. But here, what you need to do whenever you're attacking. I said this again before in the video. You look to bring more pieces. But what if every single piece is in the game? Your forcing moves. You're like your checks. Your captures, your threats. You're like, wait, the check doesn't work. He just simply captures. Right? So you start improving. If forcing moves don't work, improve the piece. I'm like, my bishop is on g4. I'm trying to improve on my last move. And the more squares you control in your opponent's side of the board, things get dangerous, guys. Bishop to h3. Remember that I even told you before, again, like bishops help to control weak squares. All that kind of stuff. It's going to all come together once you apply the right techniques. Now, bishop to h3, and I know you guys see the threat. It's now queen to f1. Queen to f1 is a complete knockout. Just to show you, this is checkmate on the board, guys. That's all. All I did was, I didn't see a knockout. Don't see a knockout. Don't try to force this to make it work. Simply improve. If you have improved enough pieces, look for the knockout. How do we find knockouts? Forcing moves, checks, captures, threats. If there are no knockouts, control some more squares. It's like you're finding the balance, guys. Find the balance. If you see a good move, look for a better one. But here, like it's done. He played knight to f2 to stop the checkmate. And let's see if you guys are understanding. The king is exposed. How can you infiltrate? How can you start threatening more squares in your opponent's position? What do we look for first? Do we look for our threats first? Or do we look for our checks first? You want it in that exact order. Checks, captures, threats. Checks are your most forcing move. Q to g6, and that's it. If his king moves, that's indeed checkmate. And in the game, he played knight to g5, and after I took the knight, he resigned. Guys, don't overthink. Simply play in small plans and build it slowly. For the conclusion, these are the 3 tips in which you need to start implementing. Ensure that you're using your forcing moves, your checks, your captures, your threats when it comes down to direct calculation. For you to get tactics to work in your favor, you need to be improving your pieces. If you have 1 piece in the game, that is not enough for tactics, guys. Bring more. If your opponent has like an extremely weak king, put pieces around that area of the board to start making tactics work in your favor. Another thing, work on your pattern recognition by doing tactics. Not just any tactics, tactics in which you're falling short. If you have a blind spot for skewers and you're falling for a lot of skewers in your games, like ding ding, work on skewers, guys. Find where you're weakest, hammer those. This can be done completely free. Spare time, just get it done. For this in particular, remember that you need to make moves in your opponent's side of the board. If you're not doing that at this stage, I can't do anything, guys. That's like moves in your opponent's area of the board. Don't play passive. Thanks again for watching, guys.